without further ado, let's dive straight into this match here. As I also need to make sure the audio is actually being played, which, there we go. Starting things off, both players making some pretty strong plays to get us going. Zeb rushing in with the Ouroboros, followed by a splatter color screen to cut right through the Overlorder. Even if it was a larger piece there, splatter screen has so much reach, so much power, that it is incredibly difficult to fight back against. And that definitely means that Zeb has access to Icebreaker's base. Icebreaker tried to charge in with a charger, but it's going to result in a clash, which means that Zeb has his base very comfortably and securely under control. And Icebreaker, in a very tricky spot, has to start doing some base building and praying that Zeb doesn't try to do more damage. I don't think he had a couple of cards, but got a little too eager to play that Shiver, and as a result, still can do a lot, but he's not going to be able to contend Icebreaker nearly as much as he would have liked to with that screen. Even then, the screen does do a lot of damage, and is definitely going to make things very difficult for Ice to be able to get any work going, get any pressure, or, like, to do any proper base building. Where Zeb still has so much base left. We're going to have to watch Icebreaker kind of weave around here. Excellent little Judd. Very well placed. Gets the special point. And might be a great opportunity to pierce into Zeb's base and do some real serious damage. Zeb walking in with the scope. Getting a little bit more coverage, getting a little bit more space. Just continue to do a pretty solid job here. Has a notable point lead, and this, which one is this? The Explosher? Very impactful, very impactful Treadringer. Gets a lot of paint coverage in and unlocks some special points for Zeb. Following it up with the Sprinkler here, that's another 2 specials going to be gained. And the point lead only increases further from like 10 to now 22. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to commentate all of this, because if I do, I'm going to absolutely destroy my throw. I'm quickly realizing. I mean, I was kind of aware of it before, but this is just becoming even more apparent. But we'll see how things go, because I don't want to give you all a bad show. Looking for a good tactical position. I feel like it's a little too early to be eyeing that. I know he's considering trying to set up some kind of Tentatek combo here. There is a way to get the special off the Tentatek with good setup as well, which could be really nice. That is actually a pretty beneficial one to run for, but it also relies for the next, unless he's doing it like this turn. Looks like, I think he is actually considering it. No, he's gonna do some other stuff, trying to keep that tempo going. Does he have it? No, doesn't have the splatter screen anymore. So if he does this and he plays the Tacticooler, that is going to be, unless he goes for that extra Tacticooler spot, he'll have 3 special, but I don't know if he has anything else to kind of keep this chain going. I don't know if he has the combo pieces to really make this work. That said, this is still an incredibly strong play. He's basically getting 15 points for free. It's only costing him 1 special to gain 15 points. That is a huge positive this late into the match. Very strong play from Icebreaker. We are still at a 26-point disadvantage, but that can be a very strong opportunity to be able to play a strong special right into Zeb's heart. Looking at a Little Jug combo, I feel like that would be a huge misplay. Definitely better just to play it in neutral and capitalize on that big special space with the thrive. Trying to find a spot, and the question is that actually better than the Tacticooler? It probably is, just because it's a bigger piece. 64 115 versus, yeah, it is just better, just because it's a bigger piece. And I feel like there's not really anything, even Joe is not going to be big enough to be able to create the impact that Icebreaker needs to claim this point, which means it is soundly secured in Zeb's control. Congratulations to Zeb for the first point. Absolutely well done. Phenomenal plays. Excellent showing. Great start to this tournament. But yeah, no. Great way to kind of start the pace, get things kind of rolling here. We saw a very strong plays from Zeb, definitely looking to get some strong heavy impact going. Just like start himself strong. Really needs to kind of get that going, especially since like whoever wins this will be moving on to face off against Yobin, who is an absolute beast. The bracket demon that everybody is wanting to beat. In what might be one of, at least how I feel like, it feels like we might be closing in on the end of Tableturf tournaments. But, I mean, it's hard to say for certain. We'll have to see how things are going. There might be much more down the line. But this might be a lot of players' final chance to really make a big name for themselves. And so I can imagine Zeb is wanting to go all out to just get the best score, best record he possibly could at this time. Icebreaker, definitely no slouch either. Had a really strong plays before. Looking to try to keep things, maybe hold things a bit better under their control here. The heavy splat lane is a curiously defensive play, as Zeb is going to go for a very aggressive splatter shot junior. It is possible that this gets walled out and becomes moot. But no, the Overlorder does not reach, which means that this Splat Charger is going to be able to stamp right through. Again, another very aggressive play coming in from Zeb. Just taking advantage of Icebreaker's passivity. Ooh, going for the block, but Splat Charger's a lot lighter. They do get the special, but the damage is kind of already sealed here, and there's not really an effective way for Icebreaker to stop this any longer. Without anything more than a single special, it is possible to still break into Zeb's space, especially if Zeb is going to play make a very passive move like this. But if we don't see anything from Icebreaker on this turn, it might be another round going to Zeb. It might already be locked in. We got the second special. We do have a little more power that can come from Icebreaker. But there's a lot of things that can happen here that just closes out this battle. Zeb not going for anything to anticipate a special play here. Icebreaker not going for anything either, very slowly building up the 3 special. I can only imagine how unfortunate their hand has been to have such to have the plays that they've been making so far. They're still in the lead by 7 points. going for a nice little Judd. But now that the Megalodontia has been played, that area, unless there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, Icebreaker would have to literally play like a Splat Charger to be able to break through. It'd have to be an 8 long. Anything else is basically, this game is done. Because Zeb has done a lot of damage to Ice. Ice might be in a position where they have to play a special and they're not going to be able to break through to be able to do anything. So they're going to start losing out on points as we move into the final 5 turns, where, yeah, Zeb just is going to continue to play a 14 piece. Icebreaker does not have 14 points on their board to gain. So this chooses to pass. Definitely taking it very slow, very curious as to why. Looking for, imagine looking for the specific combo piece for that spot, but Zeb is not going to be able to find that. Considering doing more damage would not be a bad play to actually damage Icebreaker's zone even more. We have a lot of special, but at this point, yeah, it's just a 2-piece. That's so unimpactful. We're going to go in for the ballpoint splat lane here finally. Walks into an aggressive play. Just take out what little space Icebreaker has left. Icebreaker does have a notable special lead, including the 2 special Zeb gained before. Icebreaker technically has 3 specials on Zeb, but Zeb's also positioned their pieces on the board in such a way that it is going to be difficult for Icebreaker to really capitalize on all that special to regain points. Would need to be something that just fills in that center field at the moment for this turn, or the next turn with a possible pass. And that's only going to tie things up. Zeb is going to be able to make a pretty solid play of their own coming up here. Does set up with the lead. Zeb has enough special to be able to make a move here. Looking for the optimal positioning to get the specials off of these 2. Not going to be able to find it though. That one block says nay. There's no conceivable way. Actually, very inconveniently placed. Zeb is not going to be able to get any special off. This is actually a huge turn of events. Zeb might be locked into failure here. The best play might be to pass and go for the Mr. Coco. Does actually finally find it. Secures the spot. Gets the 2 special. Hero Shot comes in. Icebreaker still in the lead. Will this 312 be enough, or will Icebreaker be able to secure this round? Zeb looking for the perfect spot. That is one off of perfect, but even one off from perfect, that is a 14-point lead only granted. Icebreaker needs like a passable 312 to win this. Very careful plays from Icebreaker has put a very, very impactful position here, as a lot of the key cards that Zeb might have been looking for, or honestly, I feel like Zeb didn't do too hot on the base building here. Icebreaker's gonna be able to take the win. A very impressive victory on round 2 for Icebreaker. I think a lot of it is Zeb was trying to plan out where to put that shiver for quite some time, and ended up making a, I don't know if it would be considered greedy or aggressive or passive. Whatever the decision making that went into placing that shiver there really did not work out for them in the slightest, as their next few plays were kind of just awkward. Made ultimately a very, very unfortunate choice to pass pretty early in, or during the mid game. And that one pass was probably enough of an opportunity for Icebreaker to kind of just make a couple of smart plays. Zeb did a great job of putting pressure and damage on Icebreaker, but then left their entire base just completely open. And so, while Megalodontia didn't do too much, it opened up enough space for the Hero Shot to be able to paint some turf. And Hero Shot's at 12 points. That 12 points was more than enough to be able to claim the victory there. And we'll have to see if this plays out differently as we dive straight back into Over the Line with a very questionable play from Zeb starting us off here. I have not tried on the transition, so let's dive right into it. We've got a Megalodontia just placed right in the middle there. I think they're praying... Oh, no, 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 no. They have the Steel Eel. Actually, does the Steel Eel... No, that doesn't fit there. I have to question what play they're going for here. The Splatana Viper would... Deco would fit in that spot a little bit. But then we still have two spots. I think Zeb has a very extravagant scheme going on here. Icebreaker being a lot more proactive in creating a defensive space here. I think we do... Yeah, I do see the through line. There is the curling bomb, so if we place the Splatana high up enough, then it turns into a 3-spot long. Which gives Zeb the opportunity... Oh, there's also the Splatter Shot. So this is a pretty safe move to make that's going to guarantee a special and sets up well for some more. Icebreaker is not being, like... is definitely doing some setup of their own. Kind of curious to see how this is going to play out because both of it are base building in very intricate ways. They're looking for very specific cards that it feels like neither are really getting yet. Ah, there we go. Splattershot Jr. finally getting drawn. That is going to be 3 more special and an opportunity to go for the splatter screen. Though, how impactful is that going to be? It does shut down the middle spot that Icebreaker's kind of set up. Which is definitely, that would be beneficial to do. Shiver finally shows up. I don't think she's going to be much of use here. That does do some damage. Actually does just reach well enough that some additional paint could come in from the Zeppelin. So, Splatter Color Screen is definitely the play to make here, doing a lot of damage, and it's going to be really hard with how things are set up for Icebreaker to go for a counter punish of their own in this situation. Which means, again, Zeb is in a very strong position. Not going to be able to get anything. Little Judd does technically work as defense here, but again, it's another one of those really passive plays that I feel like it's going to put Icebreaker in a tricky spot. Playing very defensively, very reactionary there with that Rapid Blaster. Not going to have any impact whatsoever on the board state. It is technically defense, but as we can see with Zeb's hand here, he doesn't have any cards that would really play into that spot. So it's very reactionary and unfortunately not going to really do much. And we are now in a position where, unlike the first game, Zeb is very much in control here. Icebreaker does not have a good way to really break into Zeb's base. We do get 2 special finally. Special is now in Icebreaker's side. But Zeb is about to make a massive play that gets not only a special, but 14 points, securing their lead. There's the suction bomb I was thinking about otherwise, which would have been a very good flex choice in case the splatter shot didn't show up. Basically playing on a 2-for-2 option. And as we're moving into the final few turns, you can see Zeb is already trying to calculate what the optimal play for the wrap-up will be. Lots of good opportunities, really good places for the killer whale to be dropped here. So dropping the suction bomb as an aggressive setup is absolutely the play to make. Not only will there be enough to get the suction or the killer whale out, there will be 2 specials still with a good placement. Maybe trying to go for a potential setup for further combo that would grant 2 special. That's not enough for the killer whale, unfortunately. Icebreaker does have a massive build-up of special. And Zeb is going to make the call that this is going to be another loss. Giving a second point to Icebreaker. Just the amount of special that was just there at the end really intimidated them. And yeah, I guess while they did have some good pressure from the splatter screen, Icebreaker had enough small pieces to properly build up their special and ready to make 2 big final plays. It looks like these defensive setups are just working out really well for Icebreaker, where that first round was really strong for Zeb, where they were able to rush in and completely shut down the field. But immediately after that, like these other rounds, there's just the way Ice is played, the way that these decks are kind of working out. Ice is able to keep a nice solid wall, a nice brick of ice on like the core part, which is a lot smaller or specific than you might think, and utilize that in a way to ensure victory. Could also be that just Icebreaker had a much stronger deck for over the line, because there's a lot of situations where Zeb's deck felt like it was getting bricked. Just as soon as Zeb was done attacking, yeah, it was pretty much like no base building was going on, so they got some good points, but points alone will not grant victory. And it really came down to just solid deck building. Heading into double Gemini for our next round. Again, we have a good opportunity where Zeb is rushing in to do some damage. Definitely a smart call. Icebreaker going in for some aggression here too, seeing an opportunity. Zeb considering their defensive options here. I feel like trying to block off that top area is going to be much more beneficial. There's so little to work with down there, unless you have the exact cards to make that bottom space work. I feel like this is a very, very greedy play, and it is going to unfortunately be punished. Maybe trying to set up too to prevent Icebreaker from doing their own base building. But unless the choice in stopping base building is absolute annihilation, I have to raise the question if that's actually the right call. Just on the basis that we've seen that Icebreaker is really good at base building with small cards to really secure these combos and secure like these special blocks to make big impactful plays. Where Zeb's making really awkward aggressive plays here that don't really do much, and I don't know if it's gonna actually be able to combo off of anything. Like the Tentacook would have been really good down there, while it wouldn't have been able to aggress in any way off of it. It would have granted a special and put another piece in a prime position to be special as well. But like now Zeb's looking for somewhere to put breadcrumbs. There is the Pentatech, which will grant a special if placed in combo there. And also can grant, there's a couple of places here that it can grant special. But now Zeb's literally playing off of like Pentatech, which is not how you want things to be going. I would definitely say that's a very unfortunate way to try to lean into things. And yeah, very unfortunately, Zeb is bricked. Went for some very aggressive, greedy plays. Got punished for a couple of them. And just doesn't have the base building tools Surprisingly, despite everything, Zeb is actually in the point deficit as well. Lot of bigger cards that don't really have the impact, the ability to change the tides. Could be a little bit of bad luck here too, where just Zeb didn't get these cards as like early in. But that's the problem with having. Okay, yeah, never mind. Like half of Zeb's deck is just giant cards. Yeah, I can see the problem here. I see the problem with this double Gemini deck. Yes, double Gemini is one of the biggest stages in the game. No, it does not mean you can make a giant Titan deck and get away scot-free. Your opponent is still right there, and they are also playing big cards. The map will fill up very quickly. And I feel like this is locked in. Yeah, here comes the little judge. Not getting a special off of this, but that is just another 9 points. And what looked so strong for Zeb before is now a 23-point deficit. And this Octobrush Nouveau doesn't even have any combo space. We're not even in the final 3 turns, and Zeb is feeling pressure to play a 3-12 to just try to do some damage, try to swing things back in control. That's not even enough to put Zeb in the lead. Now with no specials, nothing to do but this Octobrush Nouveau with 3 turns left. Icebreaker might be making just another small play here, but that small play is going to grant another special. And will probably keep Icebreaker just barely in the lead. And then all it takes is 1 or 2 simple... Oh my goodness, that's 3 special off of a Tentactech. That paintbrush is a turn too late. That could have been the... That was probably the spot Zeb was hoping to play that thing. Very heartbreaking for it to come just in time to just make things very unfortunate. Just ruin Zeb's day there. Oh, that was... I'm gonna be honest. As unfortunate as that is, I don't think that paintbrush would have done anything.